This is the XtremepowerUS 19-inch pool sand filter system. After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I've noticed so far. The main part of this system is the 19-inch sand filter tank. It also includes a pump, a pressure gauge, a 7-position valve, and a stand that holds everything in place. It takes up more room than a small cartridge filter, but the pump and tank sit together in a fairly organized setup. The filter is advertised for pools up to about 24,000 gallons. I would still check the size of the pool, the plumbing, and the required flow rate before choosing it. Pool volume is only part of the decision. The hose size and existing fittings matter just as much. Setting it up took me some time. This is not something I would rush through. I had to choose a flat location with enough space around the tank and pump. I also wanted enough room to reach the valve, pressure gauge, and pump basket without moving other equipment. The tank becomes very heavy after adding sand. I made sure it was exactly where I wanted it before filling it. Moving it afterward would be difficult and could put pressure on the connections. I followed the manual for the type and amount of filter sand. That part is important. Too much sand, too little sand, or the wrong media can affect the flow and may cause problems inside the tank. I also took my time while adding the sand so it did not get into the center pipe. The plumbing needed careful attention. I checked each fitting, hose, clamp, and seal before running the pump. I still noticed a small drip near one connection during the initial test. Tightening and reseating that fitting fixed it, but it showed me why checking for leaks matters. Some pool setups may need extra adapters. I would not assume every connection will match right out of the box. Before getting the system, I was worried that my existing plumbing might not line up with it. Measuring the hoses and checking the connection types ahead of time saved me some trouble. After the sand was installed, I used the backwash setting and then the rinse setting before switching to normal filtration. The valve has several positions, including filter, backwash, rinse, waste, recirculate, closed, and a setting for seasonal storage. I checked the manual because the exact labels and instructions can vary. I always turn the pump off before changing the valve position. That became a simple habit after using the system a few times. Moving the valve while the pump is running can put unnecessary pressure on the valve and internal parts. Daily operation is pretty simple once everything is connected. Most of the time, I leave the valve on filter and let the system circulate the water. I check the pump basket and pressure gauge regularly. I also walk around the equipment and look for drips or loose connections. The pressure gauge is useful because it gives me a reference point. I noted the pressure when the sand was clean. When the pressure rises and the water flow starts to slow down, I know it may be time to backwash. I do not backwash on a fixed schedule because the amount of debris changes with weather and pool use. Backwashing is one of the main reasons I prefer this setup to the smaller cartridge filters I have used. With a cartridge filter, I had to open the housing, pull out the cartridge, spray it, and reinstall it. Here, I can clean the sand bed by changing the valve setting and running the pump for the required time. Backwashing does use pool water. The discharged water also needs somewhere safe to go. I have to watch the pool level and add water when needed. That is less convenient than a system that does not discharge water during cleaning. The filtration has been steady in normal use. I noticed fewer suspended particles after the system had been running consistently. The circulation also feels stronger than what I experienced with a small cartridge pump. It moves water around the pool well when the plumbing is clear and the filter pressure is normal. I still need to maintain the water chemistry. This filter removes physical debris, but it does not correct chlorine, pH, or alkalinity. When the water looks cloudy, I check both the filter and the chemical levels instead of expecting the filter to solve everything by itself. The pump makes an audible motor sound. I would not call it silent. Setting the stand on a firm, level base helped reduce vibration. Placement also matters. I would avoid putting it directly beside a sitting area or bedroom window if noise is a concern. The 7-position valve is useful, but it took a little time to remember what each setting does. Filter handles normal operation. Backwash reverses the flow to clean the sand. Rinse settles the sand after backwashing. Waste sends water out without returning it to the pool. Recirculate moves water without using the filter bed. Compared with a simple cartridge system, this one needs more space and more setup work. It also has more fittings that can potentially leak. The trade-off for me is that routine filter cleaning requires less hands-on work, and the larger tank is better suited to handling more water and debris. I would not choose this for a very small pool. The size, plumbing, and amount of sand would be more than I need in that situation. A smaller cartridge setup would take up less space and would be easier to install. I think this system makes more sense for a medium or larger residential pool where a small cartridge filter struggles to keep up. It is also a reasonable option for someone who does not mind learning the valve settings and checking the equipment regularly. My main concerns before using it were plumbing compatibility, leaks, noise, and the amount of maintenance involved. The plumbing did require attention, and the pump can be heard while running. Maintenance has been manageable, but this is not a system I can install and completely ignore. What I like is the steady circulation, the larger filter tank, and the ability to backwash without removing a cartridge. What I like less is the installation work, the water used during backwashing, and how difficult the tank is to move once it is filled. I would recommend considering it if the pool size and connections are a good match, and if there is enough room for a permanent installation. I would also read the manual before adding sand or connecting the plumbing. If you have questions about the setup or how it has been working for me, leave them in the comments. I'll leave the details about the XtremepowerUS 19-inch pool sand filter system in the comments for you to check out. See you in the next video.